Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on an exclusive webinar today. I'm sure we still have a couple people filing in, but we're going to kick this off. So thank you for everybody taking some time out of your busy days to join us. My name is Mark Cizeski. I am a U.S. Territory Sales Manager at Revizto. Joining us, I have my counterpart, Curtis Morgan, down in the South, as well as John Theis, who is out in Phoenix, who works for Core Construction, who is our special guest today. One of the formats that we're going to try to work on with this webinar is addressing some of the key workflows that we've seen people taking advantage of Revizto and how that can aid in efficiency on the job and increasing some of the bottom line. And starting off that, we're going to kind of hand this off to John, and John at Core Construction is going to talk about their pre-construction workflow and how they've leveraged Revizto. John, if you want to kick it off, we can see John's screen right now, and maybe tell a little bit about Core, your role at Core, and how you guys are using Revizto.
Yep, thanks, Mark. So I'm John Theis at Core Construction. I'm the virtual construction manager. We're the second largest school builder, K through 12, in the nation. So we've got a lot of projects all over the nation. I see a good part of them all, from Florida, New Orleans, Nevada, here in Phoenix too. And we actually discovered Revizto at the BIM forum in, I think it was March, and I talked to Mark there, and shortly after that we went ahead and got Revizto, and since then we've been launching it all over the nation. It's a really good way for us to kind of get out to those projects, and I'm here in Phoenix, so I can be involved all over the nation without having to go out there, at least not as often. We've really been focusing on the pre-construction. So here's one of the jobs that I work on. This is based out in Reno, Nevada. The pre-construction phase, and we actually, right from the start, we knew we were going to use Revizto, and we got the owner, the subs, the designers, and ourselves involved using this program. So every now and then the owner will pop in here and he'll check out the building, see how it's evolving, and seeing if he has any questions and comments and concerns. We get new models every couple of weeks, and then we update it through Revizto and send it out to the owner and designers and kind of give our input, and our pre-construction team is able to kind of review it and kind of better their estimates and see constructability issues. In the beginning, we used the BIM LOD and requirements, and using this program was pretty much required, just to give everyone a idea of what the building's going to be and how we're going to use it. We actually use this for different meetings. On Monday, I was using this for a mechanical meeting, and I would set up these different viewpoints. Menu in the way here. Set up these viewpoints so we can easily go through and see these different issues we're having. Checking out chases, that was one of our main concerns on this so far, checking out where the chases are going to be and how we're going to move all the mechanical piping and HVAC throughout the building. So it's a really easy opportunity to check out the issues before we're actually out on site and can solve those issues. The supers and PMs and estimators all have really been enjoying using this program. It's really easy for them to use. There's not as many buttons on Revit, and that's one of the main things we wanted to do, is keep people who aren't too familiar with Revit, keep them out of Revit. Yesterday I had a estimator actually go in Revit and accidentally upgrade a model from 2014 to 2016. So just kind of getting those issues, keeping them out of that, and keeping them in something like this where they can just kind of focus on what they're trying to see and do without having to worry about modeling or any of that kind of stuff. We give access to these models to the subs, like I said earlier, and subs actually yesterday joined in on this project and have been reviewing the model and seeing where they can put in their input. some of the issues we've had with this is trying to get people to use the issue tracker. I love the issue tracker. I think it's great to show the designers or the estimators things to look out for. There's different issues that you can point out and send emails to the designers or owners. So we got these structural issues or just coordination issues that we can send out to the team nice and easily. This has all been a huge help in pre-construction. Owners have been using this for their own presentations even. They'll open this up, show their colleagues, show the other stakeholders how they can use it, seeing the issues, seeing what else they want, what they want changed. Let's see. The estimators also like using the objects tool button where they can go through, click the different objects, and either hide or show certain things to make it easier to see what's actually going on in the building. They'll go through this on themselves. And once I set up this building or the project for them, they really haven't had to contact me to help them through it. It was pretty self-explanatory for them. And that's been my main goal, is to get this out in the field and get this out into the estimators' hands so they can use it and so they can benefit the most from it.
I want to know if I need to grab mine. So, John?
Hey. Like I said, on Monday we were going through on this project, going through the model. We went ahead and combined right now we have MEP, structural and architectural, so this gives us the opportunity to see where things are being routed and how they're going to route, and go ahead and see if we can make some small changes to help the construction team, help them build it easier, or change any issues they see in the future. So we're looking at these issues here, just seeing where we can route this to make less exposed piping, some other issues. It also gives a really easy way to go ahead and click different ductwork, see this different sizes, see if there's going to be enough room, see what exactly needs to go in that space. Quick, easy way, especially with the iPad. People love to use the iPad. I mean, mention the camera sharing tool. It's always been a good help. Like on the meeting on Monday, I was controlling it for the guys out in Reno, but then they went ahead and took control, and they could go ahead and look where they wanted to see. So it just gives a great opportunity for our team to be all on the same page, even if we're not in the same room. And also being able to see all the information too, that's been a huge thing. Me being able to go through Revit easily and all that, but when you truly want everyone to go out into the field and use this, Revizto takes that by being able to use the iPad or even use your computer and easily look through the model without having to really know modeling programs or how to maneuver through those types of programs. And that's what I got, Mark. If you got any questions?
Awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing that, John. And if there's any questions in terms for John or Armin, Curtis, or myself, if you guys want to write those in the chat box, we got a couple minutes at the end where we're going to address those. So if you guys think of anything as we're going through, certainly write those in there, and we'll make sure that we address them at the end of the webinar.
Mark, there is a small question from Denstein to John. He's asking, on your projects using Revizto, is the contract typically based on the model or the printed drawings?
So what we do, it'd be on the drawings, but usually on on the jobs that we do our own coordination, say for another job, it was a school, I went ahead and did the coordination for the overhead. So any of those changes we made to make the ductwork and pipe just actually fit in the, when there's not enough space overhead, so we have to change up the piping and all that. There's when we actually make the contract say installation will go to the model. So the model will actually be the thing that's in charge. What people are looking at is the model. And what we'll do is actually create 2D drawings from the model, just so people out in the field can easily look at it to get easier dimensions, but they also have the ability to use the iPad and pull up Revizto and do measurements off of that. So short answer, the model takes place when we do the coordination.
John, another question. I guess these are the questions that maybe we will address now, or we can leave it. You're pretty popular. We have 3 more questions. So you want it now, or we save it for the end? How you want to do it?
Armin, why don't we? I was going to say, why don't we save those towards the end, unless there's any questions pertaining to his model while he has them up.
Sure. Okay. So let me.
If there's any model-based questions.
Let me then make you a presenter, and you will continue, and then we'll come back with the questions to John. So just keep it there.
Okay. Absolutely. Those will be the first 3 questions that we'll address in the question portion then.
Sure. All right. I'm switching on you.
So this is Mark Tizetsky again at Revizto. You're going to be able to see my screen shortly. I'm going to actually walk through probably one of the most used aspects of Revizto. And by most used, I think the reason it's probably the most used is because this is one of the features that's been around the longest. So I think clients have started to see other clients use it. Owners have started to ask for it. Clients feel comfortable, in Revizto, and Revizto users feel comfortable showing their owners the tool in Revizto. So one of the things I wanted to address, and this is based on some of the workshops that I've done and some of the clients that I have and how they've kind of leveraged Revizto to win more jobs and make the owner feel more comfortable with their design. I've seen this being used from design documents through CDs through all the way through construction. So a couple things I wanted to point out. When getting owners involved, it really depends on the size of the project. If we're talking about a $25 million project where the owner may build only 1 or 2 of these in their lifetime, they're probably not BIM savvy. So what we've kind of established is really, as simple as the Revizto platform is only getting them comfortable with 4 tools. So how can we teach them 4 buttons on Revizto that they're not going to forget, that's going to be the same on their iPad or Surface tablet as what it would be on their PC. So the ones that we have got owners addressed with would be, first off, the walk fly mode. So typically we tell owners to be in the walk mode. So we'll create the starting home button. When we click start, we'll actually automatically be in the walk mode. So if an owner always clicks the home button, they're automatically going to be put back in that walk mode. We have showed them how the fly mode works. By clicking fly mode, we can now kind of come out and elevate out. But for owners that may not be BIM savvy or understand or might not be as technology savvy, we've typically just went back to starting at this home button and creating all the viewpoints in walk mode. So the 4 features that we showed them has been the walk mode, the viewpoints, as well as the ruler button, in addition to the map button, if that came from Revit. So the reason we do that is, as I discussed before, it's hard to screw up and it's easy for them to navigate around on their iPad. So setting up viewpoints, as I discussed, is very simple. I'm sure a lot of our well-established Revizto users, this is a cakewalk for them. But basically, by clicking viewpoints, I can now see a list of our Revizto viewpoints. So when I come into Revizto, if I want to go to Mortensen's viewpoint, we come over here and it looks like I hit a wall, maybe to show a better idea of what this the kitchen exterior looked like from the back end without that wall being there. But if we click back, we're going to eliminate all those filters, and now I can proceed to walk around the model. So one of the things we noted is if we were going to have a conversation about this conference room, or this wanted to be a talking point and the owner might find this interesting, we'd make sure that we're in walk mode, click the viewpoints button, click plus, and we're going to see our viewpoint 009 created down there. So right now what I would do is create conference room 1A, enter, and now at any point the client on their iPad, Surface tablet, or PC are able to come in to click on the Revizto button, come down to conference room 1A, and no matter where they are within the model, they can always come back to conference room 1A and start to walk around the model with no problem. Next is the ruler button. A lot of you guys have seen this. Owners like to just know, okay, how high are these ceilings? Just very basic on, how do we get them involved with this? Well, because this tool is so simple, they can snap it back and forth and get distances of hallways or room lengths or clearances by wondering, hey, what's the distance between this wall and this table? Very easily, we can see that it's just under 6 foot. So from there, we have not showed them some of these owners on these smaller projects, and that's ranging under, I would say, under 30 to 40 million. They've decided not to incorporate the issue tracker as much, but possibly integrating that in maybe further down the line as they get more comfortable. In larger projects, we've seen a lot of these tools being used. These are usually where there's a project manager that's BIM savvy, understands the workflow, understands the design process, and can help contribute more to the different phases. In addition, I know my counterpart Curtis is going to walk through this as well, but we have had some clients decide to show their customer the whole model in our paper mode, which we call sketch mode. And the reason they do that is because they don't want to have additional questions on, why is this table this color, or why are we having this color hardwood floor? In the preliminary stages of design, they want to keep it simple and give them an idea of space, so they've exported that to the owners in sketch mode. As all the materials start to populate and things start to be more established, they're planning to kind of introduce the client further down the road, as we've seen a lot of people do. Introduce them further down the road with the materials in color, which is just re-exporting it without the sketch mode button turned on. So a very simple fix, but it looks like there's a lot more work done because there's more color in there. And the last one I wanted to talk about was the map button. So very easily, and for those of you who might have seen me present before or has worked with me, I'm a huge advocate of this map button. It's my favorite tool within Revizto, and the reason is because how simple and how intuitive it is. Typically, I keep grid lines off. We can turn those on if you call out grid lines, but typically I'm keeping this up, selecting levels. So for example, level 2, it's like an intelligent 2D sheet. It cuts the model to level 2. We have our room names in here from Revit. I can zoom in, say I want to be right outside Assistant 226 outside this door. I'll click over there, and as you guys see, very easily I'm located there. If I want to go back to level 1, I'll select floor level 1. I can pan over here and say, you know what, I want to come over by these blue chairs. I'll double click, and voila, I'm over here by these blue chairs. So that is a feature I show clients a lot, and one that we've started to get owners involved with a lot, to allow them the freedom to go anywhere within their building instead of just be limited by the viewpoints that have been created for them. So that is how we start to get owners involved. So if there's any questions on that, feel free to put those in the chat box, and we'd be happy to address those at the end. So switching to our next topic, which is also one that I'm going to be covering, is the Navisworks workflow. Obviously, the workflow for subcontractors, architects, engineers, and the general contractors is going to be completely different workflow in Revizto. So the workflow that I'm going to chat about here is going to be one that was done in construction document phase. It was an architect that was trying to help out some of the other clients or some of the other engineers and subcontractors be aware of those clashes so they don't become an issue further down the line. So for those of you who received my invite to the Architectural Clashes project, if you can go open up your viewer, come to this menu button, and click on this Campfield Architecture Clashes, you'll actually be able to see a couple features that the rest of the people who are on the webinar will not be able to see if they do not have the viewer open. So already I can see a few folks online, so thanks for joining us in the project. And I guess I'll give it a couple seconds for other people to join. Just as long as you launch your Revizto viewer and you come to this menu button and open, you should be able to see this Campfield Architecture Clashes. Double click and it'll open that up for you. So taking a step back, how do we get clashes into the project? As you guys, some of the people who were on earlier might have seen my screen of some of these clashes that we might have been talking about in the project. Right now I'm going to show you a little bit of what those look like. So I'm going to go to and filter by clash only issues, and we can see a couple of these clashes that were brought into Revizto from Navisworks. So we can isolate this out to see what that object looks like and where that is. So a big question is, okay, well that's great. Now how do we get those clashes in there, and how do we utilize this in a workflow to become more efficient? So trying to integrate this into an already predetermined Navisworks workflow, I think is fairly simple. So in addition to camera share and being able to talk about some of these clash issues, I want to step back and show you how we got to this stage first. So I'm going to hop over here to Revit. This is probably one of the biggest mistakes or maybe questions I see pertaining to this. So if we're going to export out floors, if maybe we're trying to clear out all the clashes on floor 1, I would go into the Revizto or go into Revit and export out just that floor to Revizto. So once, as you guys are aware, we come to the add-ins portion, click export to Revizto. And once I export that project out, and I'm not going to do that because I've already exported this for time's sake, once I export that project out, it's going to open up in the editor, and I'm going to share that as a new project or a current project if you've already exported it in the editor. From there, I will push it onto the viewer, and the reason I am doing this is because we're pulling in all of those details from Revit. So the room names, the sheets, which are important for locating and being able to better define where those Navisworks clashes are. So once that project is exported out, we're going to actually jump over here to Navisworks, which I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with. And because I've exported that project out of Revit, we actually do not have to re-export that out of Navisworks. So a common misconception is a lot of people will then come here, export to Revizto from Navisworks, but because Revizto is coordinate-based, we don't have to make that double step. So what we're going to do from here is actually do our work, bring this file into Navisworks. When we go to our clash detective, we can see this clash group test 1, wall ducts and wall plumbing, and we can see these different clashes that we put in here. If we were to create a group with these clashes would be brought in as a group. I know some clients like to view multiple clashes at a time and not individually. If you want to group those, you're going to be able to, in Revizto, see one group as an issue and be able to address 50 or 60 clashes at one time because they'll all show up. So from here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to click off of Clash Detective, go back to our tools and add-ins, and see this Revizto issue tracker button. I'm just going to click on that. I'm going to select the project, which is the Campfield Architecture project that I'm in. I'm going to go over to the Clashes button right here. And when I click Clashes, it's automatically going to rerun that clash detection through Navisworks. So just to be clear, we're actually not running any kind of clash detection within Revizto. It's utilizing the advanced clash detection that we're already very good at and what customers feel comfortable with already. So if we click here, we can rerun this clash detection to see how many clashes we have, and then we can click import. Those clashes will automatically import to that project that we selected and the one that we exported from Revit a couple minutes ago. And with having it being exported from Revit, we're going to have the room names associated so we can better locate where those clashes are. So jumping into our back into the Revizto viewer, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click this filter button. I'm going to go to clashes, and I'm going to go to clash only issues. So from here, what we can do is if we just exported out wall versus plumbing and walls versus ducts, we know that all these clashes maybe have to be done by a specific deadline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this button right here, which is our layer button and multiple select button. When I select that button, we're actually going to just do pick all. And the reason I'm going to do that is because we know that maybe all these deadlines for floor 1, for example, need to be handled by a certain time. So after I pick these all, I'm going to click edit. And I'm going to come down here and maybe I can tag these as a October deadline. I'm going to click done. And then maybe I want to also associate a deadline with this. So maybe I'll say we want this done by tomorrow, which is unrealistic. But for this example, we're going to say, okay, we want them done by tomorrow. So I'll click done. And now what I've done is I've actually applied that 218 clashes all to be due by tomorrow. So what that allows us to do is when we pull a report using this button instead of automated reports later, we can filter by clashes that are past deadline based on that October deadline that we've already set up. And the cool thing about how Revizto works is because it taps into the API of Navisworks, we're able to rerun that model in Navisworks. And actually, if this comes into, if that clash is no longer a clash in Navisworks, the status automatically changes. So very easily we can assign those clashes to a specific individual. They're aware of it. They can pull a report to see what clashes they have to take care of. They can make those changes within their model. And when we go to rerun that clashes, we can see that clash detection and re-export that to Revizto. We can see all these open issues are ones that have not been addressed or new ones that have been created when the model was altered. So that is one crucial way that we've seen clients using Revizto to help aid in their already established Navisworks workflow. So taking it a step further, for coordination meeting, if we're talking about different clashes, I'm actually going to go to camera share. I can see that we have several people in here. I'm going to invite all of you guys to camera share. And as you guys accept, I'm going to show you kind of what this looks like. For those of you who are on the webinar but are not in this project, we're actually, you're going to see a slight delay with GoToMeeting, whereas the people who have accepted, we're just waiting on DJ here to accept, we'll see no delay at all. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to our issue tracker, and I'm going to find one of these clashes I want to talk about, and we can see here is maybe an issue that we're concerned about. So I can say, okay, well, we can tell that this is what's clashing. If we want to isolate the two objects that are clashing, we can see this as well. If we go back, as you guys can see, there's going to be no delay. The people that are watching, on the GoToMeeting are going to see a slight delay, but very easily we can see what this clash is. From here, what we can do is now we run into this issue of, okay, where is this clash located in the model? Well, we're going to jump back to my favorite button, which is this map button. And when I select this, we can see our elevation is at 48 foot. And for those camera sharing, they're not going to see this because we're just transmitting the camera location, not the map. So we can see that the elevation is 48 feet, and we can see what room that is in because we exported from Revit and brought those room names in. So if I click grid lines, we can see exactly the elevation and the grid line that clash is actually is happening at. So closing out of this, I'll click back to that issue, and I can scroll out. And maybe if we want to see, as we section box these out, they come out actually in a section box because if we pull this up in Revit, as you guys will see, if I bring up one of these clashes in Revit, it actually brings us in as an axon view within Revit. So if we assign this to our architect and say this is actually this would be a mechanical issue, so we assign this to our mechanical contractor. I'm actually going to just select this architectural clashes. I'm going to filter again by clash issues, clash issue only. And if I double click on one of these, we're going to see this come into Revit as an axon view. So if we, let's jump over to another one, for example. I need to close this view, double click on it, and as we see, if we had that model in there, it would come in as an axon view. So jumping back to this, if we want to see the entire model, so we have the section box out. The reason is because it comes in as that axon view and we want to see the entire model, we can click on our menu button and come over to our section cut button, and as you see, it's in a box view right now. So I can click pane, and it's actually just going to show me the entire model now and where that clash is located within the building. So now for those camera sharing, you can still see that there's no delay, and we can zoom in here, and we can kind of traverse around that object, and we can see right here is where this is clashing with this wall. So that is kind of the ease of taking or making using camera share for clash coordination. And actually, if one of my counterparts, Curtis or Greg, if you are in this, if you want to request control, they could say, hey, you know what, Mark, maybe we want to have a different conversation. I want to address this clash. They could request control from me, and I could pass that control on to somebody else, and they'd be able to maybe show me an issue of where they were, where there's a clash that they wanted to address or had questions about. So that is the workflow that I have seen with Navisworks, the Navisworks clash detection, and integrating that into Revizto and how that workflow works within the model. So I did skip over this reporting mechanism, which I'm going to go over after I hand the baton over to Curtis. I'm going to go over the pulling reports and how we pull reports under our punch list workflow. So if there's any questions, please put those into the chat box, and in the meantime, I'm going to pass the baton over to my counterpart out of Charlotte, and that's Curtis Morgan, to chat about our business development and how we've seen clients leveraging this as a way to earn more business.
Thanks, Mark. Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Mark. Okay, good. All right, well, again, I'm Curtis Morgan with Revizto, working with our partners here in the Southeast. So again, thank you for your time. So I wanted to talk about how to leverage aspects of Revizto to support your efforts in differentiating your firm from competitors, right? So to continue to win over your existing clients, and most importantly, securing new business as well. So, we can all, have numerous tools and resources kind of available to us, but the idea is to make sure that we're, leveraging and using the tool in the most effective way to save time and continue to add value during the pursuit and or interview process. So I just wanted to, I have 5 quick items to show, and they're very easy to use whether you are a designer with the firm, a project manager, or maybe, again, if you're on the sales, marketing, business development side. So very intuitive tools that anyone utilizing Revizto can take advantage over. So the first thing I wanted to show, and my colleague Mark touched on this a few moments ago, was how to quickly convert your model into a black and white line drawing experience. A lot of times, we need to have conversations with our owners, with the colors, materials, and or textures, not visible, right? Because that's not necessarily the objective of that particular conversation. So right now I'm in a law office model, and you can see it's tuned up pretty well, and with colors and lighting and all of that. And so as we were talking about a few moments ago, if you just want to quickly convert this model and push out into a shade appearance or line drawing appearance, you would simply, in the editor, you would go to your toolbar here, click Tools, and click Sketch Mode. So once you click your Sketch Mode, simply click Sketch Mode On, and you have a couple of different color examples as well, and simply click Save and apply this to your model. So for sake of time, I've kind of quickly tuned up the same law office, but converted over into sketch mode. So again, this is a quick aspect of the platform that can allow you to turn and push your model into the sketch mode. I'm utilizing the video notes aspect of the viewer. And so again, you can have the conversation with your owner, with your client, and not have them to be distracted about colors, textures, and so forth and so on. So again, the idea again is quick aspects of the platform that anyone can use. So if we go back, to the Revizto editor in the theme of plug and play, think about scenarios. Maybe you're custom home builders working in healthcare, retail, government, or municipal projects, and you want to have the ability to showcase and or show your owner different objects or options really quickly and on the fly. So again, in the editor, you would go to your toolbar here at the top and click your materials toolbar, click the library here, and quickly pull up a materials library that you can plug and play, push and pull if you're having a conversation with your owner, again, to show different options for the individual during that particular conversation. And you'd have the exact same opportunity to do so with textures as well. So again, custom home building, you're bidding maybe for a municipal project or government project, you have the ability to plug and play really quickly and easy from the editor to push out to your model in the Revizto viewer. So let's go ahead and, speaking in terms of the viewer, let's open up. So this is the same law office model. We are now in the viewer as Mark was in earlier. So let's say you're on the marketing side, right? And maybe you're putting together a statement of qualifications about your work. So why not include in that package? Again, the idea is differentiating your firm from your competitors. So why not include in that package maybe a video voice walkthrough, similar to what you saw a few moments ago with the sketch mode, or and also those video notes can be shared out as an MOV or an AVI file as well. You can also embed your projects within your firm's websites or share out those projects in a 3D web view capacity, and that's pretty simple and easy to do. So you would simply go to log into your Revizto account, and you will go to the Revizto workspace. In the workspace, you can do a multitude of things within the workspace, such as running the reports, as Mark was talking about earlier, managing your Revizto licenses. But in this case, again, you're marketing your firm, you're selling your firm. So you want to embed some of your projects and showcase some of your projects on your firm's website. So once you click on My Projects here, you will go here, and let's say you want to showcase this law office. So you'll click on this icon. And now you have available to you the project information or the project info that you want to show. And so what this will allow is it will allow the end user to view your project in the 3D web view capacity. So you will simply click on the public sharing tab here, and you've got a couple of options available to you as far as visibility is concerned. So one, maybe you want to just copy and paste this link and email to your end user. Once they click on the link, they have direct access and the ability to navigate and view that project in a 3D form or a 3D capacity. Secondly, here you can also, there's an automatically generated HTML code for you, which you can copy and paste and utilize this code to embed within your firm's website. Again, continuing around the theme of allowing you to communicate your design and different ways to make your firm stand out. And so this is provides again another avenue for you to do so. So let's go back to my model, law office model in my viewer. So a lot of times we have end users that are maybe conditioned, right? They're conditioned to, whether you're working in healthcare or working in retail, maybe they're conditioned to of working in the 2D realm, which is fine. But sometimes it may present a challenge when you're trying, again, to communicate that design intent via a 2D floor plan because, you know, maybe your client or your owner it's not working in 2D floor plans all the time, so they're having a hard time maybe understanding your design intent. So pretty easy, you can take advantage of the 2D, 3D overlay functionality within the Revizto viewer. So we're in the viewer now, and we can simply go to our menu button and go to Sheets. And let's open a 2D sheet. So now we are, again, let's pretend, Curtis, I'm talking with you guys are my owner, and we are going through the 2D sheet. Why not take advantage and leverage some of the 3D technology that you have kind of available to you as well, but continuing to use the 2D formality as well. So we'll just click on this little green icon here and raise one of my favorite parts of the platform, and raise the 2D sheet on top of the 3D view. You also have the ability to attach the sheet as well. So now, in having the conversation with my owner, we can continue to work via the 2D realm, but we're also leveraging the 3D capability, and a lot of my clients really do enjoy the ability or love the ability to be able to drape their 2D plans on top of the 3D view. And everything that you see here, again, can be done on your laptop as well as on your tablet. So this gives you another feather in your cap when communicating with your customer. So finally, let's close this out here. Taking it a step further in showcasing to your end user your design, I'm sure most of you know that Revizto has a direct integration with the Oculus Rift VR. So let's say, for example, you're working in healthcare, right? You're working with a group or a panel of nurses and doctors, and you're going through and you're discussing, spacing, you're discussing equipment, whatever the case may be about the project. If you think from a bidding standpoint, let's say firm A is using a 2D component as part of their bid process, where firm B is utilizing a VR walkthrough as part of their bid process. That definitely kind of separates the two firms when, as part of that business development phase or marketing phase when trying to win that particular job. So So anyway, those are 5 simple tips and tricks available to you to continue to support your efforts, right, in driving value to your owners and to your potential owners, and differentiating yourself from the competition. So with that, I will stop and give the reins back to my colleague Mark.
Thanks, Curtis. And actually, one thing I just wanted to add, in addition, one of the things I know I've seen with a couple of my clients from the business development side is actually just telling their clients not only here are some of the designs we've done before. Here's another law office we've done. Here's another credit union we've done. But also explaining to those owners that this isn't just a pretty picture that we're showing you for one time to win your business. You guys are going to be involved in 3D throughout the entire step of the way. So that was another value add in addition to showing some of the projects they've done and why they're the best firm, but also saying, hey, we're going to make you feel comfortable and you're going to be part of this process throughout the entire step of the way. So I think that's another way I've seen business development help win some of these projects with owners. So, but thanks, Curtis, again, and if there's any questions for Curtis, certainly put those in the chat box. I did want to thank Dan Stein for allowing us to share that the model that you guys just saw I used earlier, which was the law office model. He generously allows us to demonstrate on that because we didn't want to just show a demo model. We wanted to show something that was actually used. So we appreciate Dan using that, as well as Beck Group and Aaron Mallard allowing us to use that the hospital for our healthcare examples as well. And a shout out to Autodesk for their example project that I have out on my screen right now as well. But anyways, going into our last discussion point was how to do punch list in Revizto. So this has been I think a common question that we've had asked. I know I've spent some time working with different contractors, depending on what's the level of the project. Is it an integrated design project? Is it what kind of level of BIM knowledge and technology experience do the people involved have? So we've seen it taken all the way where people are utilizing Revizto because everything's done in Revit, all the way through all the stages, to people still having to fight contractors that are only used to working in 2D. So I know a lot of you guys still run into the same issues where not everybody's in Revit, so I wanted to kind of discuss that workflow and show a couple of examples of how we integrate punch lists when the projects aren't always in 3D, or people aren't able to get into Revizto on an iPad or a Surface tablet. So one of the things that we've kind of established is, and what we're going to utilize here for the punch list, and actually if you're in this project, I'm going to invite you guys to camera share as well, just so you can watch along. So I'm going to invite everybody right now. But basically the first thing we're doing is actually setting up not just clash issues, but any kind of issues. So I'm just going to reset all these filters, so we're not talking about clashes only. But here's a pretty generic model. It's not really dialed up or anything because we're using it for coordination for punch list items. So for example, if I was going to do a walk around in 3D, I could very easily go to walk mode, and I can say, hey, you know what? I know we have some damaged floorboards over here. How can we can mark these up? And as most of you guys know, we basically click the plus button. I can section box this out and say, you know what? There's a damaged floor. Enter, and now I can assign this similar to how our iPhone works. We can see damaged floor. This is an open issue. If we go to deadlines, we can create a deadline. Let's actually do the Friday before Thanksgiving. I'm going to edit this and say, you know what? I'm actually going to assign this to Curtis, who is my flooring guy for the day. Or the foreman of the flooring guy, and then let's tag this as a floor issue, which I don't have in here. So I'll type in floor and click add, and floor will be be able to be filtered and be able to pull a report off of this specific tag later down the road. So that's why I'm tagging this as a floor problem. So I'll select done. Curtis can obviously, as most of you guys are aware, he can comment back and forth on here, and we can see all the directions on there. So all of these comments, looks like Curtis took a picture of either a ceiling or maybe it was a floor. I can't really tell right now. But we can add different items within this text box here, and this kind of acts as our punch list. So I'll type looks good, and Curtis will be able to see that. The advantage that we have is for those people that are not in Revizto or not sitting at their computer because they're out in the field, they're in a bulldozer, operating a crane, or fixing problems in the field. We can print these out, and they can see all the chat items that we talk about, the pictures associated with it, as well as a link to the 2D sheet of where that problem came from. In addition, for those people that are used to marking up their punch list items in 2D, we have a different workflow that we've kind of established. So one of the things that we'll do is we'll just come into the menu button, and we'll go to our sheet. And I uploaded a couple sheets for this example here. And if I click on one of these floor plans, it's going to open up. And what I can do is basically maybe say, okay, we got a problem over here. I know we got a cracked tile here, so I'm just going to click the plus button, add this in here, and I can select done. So if we know that we have a cracked tile in this bedroom, but we also know we have a one over here as well, I'll actually just mark off if there's multiple items that are the same exact fix. I'm going to mark off where those are. So now this now when we assign this to our tile guy, I'm going to say this is a cracked tile issue. Click done. And to create this issue and a tag on this 2D sheet. So from here, I'm going to make this, it's going to be an open issue. The way we've seen clients doing this is if we're doing this from a report and the tile guy does not have a Revizto username, the project manager is actually managing the status of this report. So once he goes around and sees that all these tiles have been fixed, he will actually come in there and mark it as progress, as a solved problem. So he can then filter out just by opened issues or just by issues of that day and make sure that those were addressed. So coming down the line here, I would keep, if I was a project manager, I would keep the assignee as myself because I'm going to be I'm going to be required to change this as the project manager. Obviously, this changes depending on each project manager and the engineer and architect that are associated with that project. I'm going to tag this as a, let's see here, I'm going to do tile, or we'll do tile issue. I'll click add, so I'll tag that as a tile issue, and then we can add photographs into this as well. So if I was going to say, you know what, I got a picture of that tile on my computer, I'm going to go to my photos, and here's that tile. I'll submit it, and now in that report, that individual is going to be able to see the tiles that need to be brought on site to be able to make that change. So as we go in here, I'm actually just going to go back and look at this tile issue that we have here. There's a little box on our left side that shows 3D, and then there's a little goofy pencil. So with this camera button, we can see the markups that we have. So I just used the box tool to mark where those tiles were. I didn't have to be very specific because this is a pretty generic problem. But if we were curious, is there a framing problem right here? Are we going to need to bring in our diamond saw to cut that piece of tile, or is it going to fit right in? We can go to a 3D, which actually puts you into the floor plan there, and we're going to be able to see, where is that tile problem. And as we can see, this material is actually looks like not tile, but you guys understand in that example. So we can easily flip between the 3D and the 2D, when we go into each of that issue. So I'll go back to this tile issue, and if we go back to the sheet, I can see, where the initial markup is on that plan. So it also allows me to come back over here. I can pan out and say, you know what, we got an issue for, we got another issue here. This is going to be a sheet metal problem. I'm going to create another punch list item, and I'm going to say sheet metal. And so we could do this by contractor name. We could create that as a tag as well. So maybe our contractor is ABC Sheets is the name of him. So we're going to click add, and now I tag any issue associated to him as ABC Sheets. And because our sheet metal guy he's not a technology savvy guy, he's been doing this for 30 years, and he's he's going to do it the way he's always been doing it, which is operating off of a report that's paper, and then that's what he wants to do. So as myself as a project manager, it's a lot easier just to allow him to do his work as he's done it in the past. So let's just make this simple by just assigning that and tagging that as a ABC Sheets. So from here, we've created a couple issues based off of those plans. So what I wanted to do now is actually pull a report. So this is where the setup of these reports probably can be done in about 20 to 30 minutes, but the advantage of that is once it's set up, it's all automated. So we can set up, as you see, I'm going to click, as you guys saw, I clicked the little envelope button here, and I'm going to pop into our reports for this project, and I can create a report. So I'm just going to go here. I'm going to create a new report. And as we create a new report, I'm actually going to do, let's just say here, and the way we set these up, we'll set up multiple reports depending on what we're looking for, but maybe we want all open tile issues assigned to our tile guy. So what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll name this as a, damaged tile report. We're going to do project start date to current date because we want all those issues, and maybe we want them all the issues that are open. I'll click on here, and we'll come down here to the tile that we've already tagged. We could do it by assignee, which would be myself, but for this, we're just going to leave it open, and I'll click Save. So what's going to do, we can see I've created this one tile issue today, and if we go into the settings portion, we can actually set up a delivery time for that as well. So I'll go to delivery. I can send this report now, but what I want to do is I want to actually just automate this. So I'm going to click Add Recipient, type in my tile guy's name and email, or his foreman or the project manager on that side. So we'll add him to type in his email address, and for this example, I'll just send it to myself. And we can add multiple people to this as well. And then I'll select, okay, well, I want him to receive this report every Monday for the duration of the project. So we can go through there and select, what days we want them. Maybe we want them the Friday the 13th and the 20th we want to see it, and maybe this Wednesday as well. So now he's going to automatically get this report, and maybe we want it to come in right before he gets in at 7 a.m. And then we can select the format if we want it to be an Excel, PDF, or chart format. So as you can see on here, here's our chart format. This is what they look like. And I actually have an example of one that Curtis and I were playing with the other day for a client. And this is an example of what our reports would look like. So basically, we have our issue report, and this is one that we tagged up all of our punch list items on 2D. So you can see this cracked tile in red, so we did some markups here. If we double click on this hyperlink, it's actually going to open up the full report, and from here I can zoom in to see more detail of where it's located on that plan, and those can obviously be printed off and brought into the field for markup. So the nice thing about this report is actually that this was automated. We can see that Curtis actually generated this report. This is in his project that he was just showing, which was the Dan Stein Law Office project. In addition to the date that this is associated with, and I pulled, we did a report based on a on a tag that had multiple issues pertaining to these 2D. So in this example, our sheet metal guy would only be getting sheet metal tagged issues. And so any of the new issues, what we do is then set that up that he'd be getting a daily report or maybe a report every other day on new sheet metal problems. So every single day, his project manager or the foreman gets a report based on his crew, and they can pass those sheets out accordingly. And as the project manager from the general contractor walks around, they can make sure that those issues are solved, go into the status bar, and mark them as in progress or as solved, as you'll see it in a second. And as we discussed before, we can see wrong light type here. I actually created this issue. We can see it was right next to the stairs. In addition to that, we can see that we tagged this as sheet test. I marked it as in progress at this time frame. And then it looks like a couple over here, we marked up this issue. And we can see the comments that are associated with this as well. So we can see Curtis commented on here. We changed the status, and he started talking about maybe a couple of the issues that need to be on there in addition to some of the photographs he's added. So they get a pretty high summary report of what's going on, so very easily they can see what needs to be addressed for that day and make sure that we can walk through those punched items. So after this report has been pulled, this is pulling a real-time report, so every single week if things are marked differently, we see all those comments sent out automatically. I got this in my inbox at 7 a.m. I think I have this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the next 2 weeks. I get this report. But when we jump back into Revizto, as those things are changed, the format that I'm doing right now and the functionality that I'm showing you is the exact same on any of these tablets. The project manager, superintendents are using in the field. So when we filter by current issue, we can find, for example, our sheet metal issue, double click on it, and I can go to the I button, and I'll just change this to in progress because I see that sheet metal guy is out there working on it, and it's going to be addressed in the next couple days. When I do my next walk around on my iPad, I very simply type in for my sheet metal, and it comes up right here. Double click, and I can mark this as solved. And now when we filter by all open issues, that is no longer a problem. When we pull up our map, if we pull up one of our 2D sheets, and I'm going to actually open up a project. Actually, I'm going to do Curtis's law office project that he was already in. When we go to our sheet, what we're going to be able to do is when we select these sheets, we can see that these red issues are all open. And as we go to different floor plans, we might be able to see a couple of these other issues. And as those change their statuses, like this one we see in orange, we know that if we click on that, that's an in-progress issue. So paint is in blue. Go over here. And as we see these different issues, if we want to click on them, we can see that let's remove this space right here. So as we click on this, this is an in-progress issue, and they're color-coded accordingly. So it really gives you a high-level idea. And if we come into here, come into this issue, we can see it in the 2D sheet as well as going to the 3D plan. And as I'm in the 3D, we can see actually I marked up that stairwell, so it looks like I was actually in the stairwell. We can see that problem. And if we click that map button, we're going to see that we're actually located right in the lobby room on floor 1. So we can see that and how that kind of sets up and how it all plays in. But as we've discussed before, and how a lot of project managers that use Revizto can attest to this, that every single project is different based on who their owner is, who they're working with. So we hopefully have designed a tool with Revizto that's intuitive enough that it can be used and adapted to any of these projects. So so we certainly appreciate those project managers and the other people involved in the project being innovative and being creative with Revizto, because they give us more and more ideas of how the tool can be used, and as they become more innovative, we can help make this tool even more efficient for the rest of the world to use. So right now, I want to open it up to questions. For Armin, myself, Curtis, or John. we'd be happy to address those questions. I think Curtis is actually going to be going through the workflow or the questions that we can address. And I know we had 3 we wanted to come back to for John right away, and then we'll hit the rest of the questions after that.
Sure. I'll get started. This question again for John. How difficult is it to sync Vim files with your subs in order to produce what we saw here today?
So you're asking how difficult it is for myself to get them?
Well, how difficult is it to sync the files with subs in order to get kind of the final product that we were looking at with that school model that you had today?
It's pretty easy. They send it my way, and then I just the way I have it set up, I just basically update the different individual models in Revizto or to Revizto, and then I'll have that combined model. So maybe the beginning of it, setting it all up, takes a little bit more time, but then once I have it set up, it goes pretty smoothly.
Okay, good deal. The next question for John: does core construction charge the project owner for this technology?
It depends on the project. Usually it'll be kind of counted in the pre-con. They'll either maybe pay a little bit more for our entire service, which can include mechanical coordination, and then include this Revizto. But giving them access to it usually isn't a problem. We're more than happy to just give access to the model so they can have that model to look into the project.
Okay, good deal. And I know we're running over time. I'll try to be cognizant of everyone's time and try to get to as many questions as possible. Next question, open to the floor. I am finding, this is from Caleb, I'm finding navigation challenging to maneuver. I'm working on a multi-floor project whereby our scope is only 1 floor, and I seem unable to figure out how to have how to have the model open already inside.
Would that be setting up your editor, your first shot be in the model, and then when you send it out to the viewer, it should open up in the model? Is that right, Mark?
That sounds like that would work. Or even in the viewer as well. So the next question from Caleb as well: are many current users able to fully replace design review using Revizto? And I know I can speak to that. I do have some partners here in my region that are specifically looking at Revizto for that particular case, kind of replacing design review as well. So those are some things, definitely some conversation that I know personally I've been having with some of my partners here in the Southeast. Anyone else? Mark, anybody want to answer or speak to that?
Sure. And one thing I want to address was the question that came to John in terms of how subcontractors and how other people are updating that model. I think that process is going to be greatly improved come our next release. We're actually foregoing the editor, and the editor will be in the background. So per a lot of or a couple client requests, the workflow now will be to export from Revit with 1 click, and possibly setting up that Revit model on a schedule where it's going to automatically push stuff to the viewer. So to teach your subcontractors how to use Revizto, basically as long as they know how to use the Revizto viewer, which for our users know that's extremely simple and very intuitive, that as long as their model in Revit is updated or the model in Navisworks is kept up to date, that the workflow is going to be very simple, because they're just going to have to open the updated Revizto file as they would be doing right now. So it eliminates that manual labor.
Got it.
I know a lot of our users are excited about that because of the simplicity it takes to, get other people involved.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Question from David. What items that have been shown are only available in the subscription paid service? So I know I'll speak a little bit to that. The issue tracker functionality, sharing out the model with your clients are a part of the subscription service as well. Trying to think back to some of the other things we've shown.
Camera share as well.
Camera share, yeah. Okay.
Basically, simple, I would say generating content is in a free part, so you can generate as many content as you want, but as soon as you want to start to share it through the cloud and utilize the issue tracking system with all this punch list and stuff and the camera share, that goes all to the subscription.
Okay. Thank you, Armin. Question from CR Yoakum. Can you use Revizto with HMD? Can you use Revizto with HMD?
I'm not sure I understand what does it mean.
Okay. Well, we have contact info. Maybe we can follow up on that. The next question for DJ: when you use the map view to move, it puts you in fly mode. Can that be changed? Like you said, clients want to be in walk mode.
I think we can certainly address that right now because of how simple it is. Based on the premise of fly mode, you're allowed to go through objects. Walk mode doesn't allow you to do that. So when you're clicking through objects and being able to transport yourself via the map, that's why we're still in fly mode. But that's something we can take a look at and address. But basically, you're correct. Once you land in a place, click on the map button, you need to select walk mode to start walking around. But definitely a good question.
Thank you, Mark. Next question. Hi. Usually the model files are too large, and this makes the sharing process difficult. Is there any solution for this?
I can address to that question. If your models are huge and you don't want to put on a cloud on every iteration, and you want to coordinate with your entire team, and they're all connected to your local network, you can do that by using shared location feature. So basically, when you click on the synchronize button, share button in your editor, it gives you an ability to share either to the cloud or to the shared location. If you click on shared location, it will basically allow you to share, save the file on any folder on your local servers, and the file will be saved there, but the collaboration still will go through our servers. So that would basically give you a high speed, extremely high speed on saving the files and sharing it because it's on your local files and file folders, but still you'll have the issue tracking mechanism and all that stuff available.
Thank you, Armin. The last question from Melina. Hi, my name is Melina. I have a long question. I've been using, I've been having issue with Revizto Issue Tracker View that opens in Revit. It does not open as an axiometric view, but as a perspective view. Issue is created when section box was present on the scene, and it was working good until Revit crashed, and since then it's only perspective view. Is there a setting where I can control the view?
That's sort of weird because basically in perspective view, let me put it this way. Every issue you have created in box view, in a section cut, or all your clashes as will be visible in axiometric view inside of Revit. The rest, it's because of a little bit limitation of the Revit API, it will be in perspective view. But if you have some specific case, what you're saying, that I would advise you to send to service@revisto.com, and our support team will take a look at it, because it's a bit awkward what I'm seeing, at least.
All right. Thank you, Armin. And last question, is the webinar being recorded for Kevin? Yes, it is, and we'll have it probably uploaded for everyone for tomorrow. Well, that closes out all the questions. Mark, Armin, John, thank you guys, attendees, thank you guys for joining us this afternoon. And if no further comments or remarks, thank you, and we'll talk to you all soon.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.